York Times had an op-ed written by two UCLA professors that talked about the importance of assimilation, and they talked about it in the context of the Boston bombing. Now, I should note and preface this by saying that they're not blaming the lack of assimilation as the cause of the bombing in Boston. However, they are saying that there should be more emphasis placed on assimilation because it helps immigrant children feel like they're part of the community and not feel like they're outsiders. So now, as you guys know, the 26-year-old bomber that was, killed had written on Facebook that he didn't understand Americans and he didn't have a single American friend. So they saw that as something that was very jarring, and they wrote about it. Orozco and Carola Suarez Orozco wrote this op-ed, and they also did a study on immigrant children between the ages of 9 and 14. Now, they surveyed 400 students in 20 different public schools over 5 years. Okay, so this was a pretty good study, and they wanted to see, what their feelings were as immigrant children in the United States. And they found that they do feel like outsiders. They do feel like they're not part of the community, and they almost feel like they're ousted in some way.
Assalamu alaikum. Hi, my name is Mahbouba Ahmed. I am a freshman and I am a Palestinian American. My mom and I were born in the US. My mom born in Milwaukee and I was born in New York. And we moved to Palestine when I was about 2 years old for a while. There was one time that I remember, it was Ramadan and it was in the last 10 days. So my friends and I went to the mosque to pray. And after we finished praying, we went to get ice cream, and I was still dressed in my religious attire, which was a black dress, which is called an abaya, and a headscarf, which is called a hijab. And I just remember my environment felt completely different. At that point, I wasn't getting many friendly smiles, I wasn't getting friendly energy, whereas I have been to that ice cream shop multiple times. I get hellos all the time, but it was kind of different experience then. That's when I felt uncomfortable.
Hi, my name is Luis, and I am a freshman Mexican American. Well, my father came here first back in '87, I believe, and he was only of the age of 16, so he stayed here a while, became a citizen. He went back home to Mexico and brought my mother and sister. They were both born there, and then they became citizens, and then the rest of my siblings and I were born here.
How does trying to fit into the American culture / lifestyle affect your identity as a Mexican American?
Well, growing up in California, it was simple because there was a lot of Spanish-friendly places. Even my preschool was Spanish-friendly. But moving up here, it was quite the adjustment, seeing as how Milwaukee's a very segregated place. And I went to school outside of my district, and it was predominantly Caucasian. And it was a little bit difficult to adjust to that, seeing as there was many people my color there.
When hanging around other Americans, do you ever feel out of place, or hanging out with other Palestinian people, do you ever feel out of place?
I tend to keep myself around people that don't see me as any different than them, Palestinian or American-wise. So I haven't run into any issues like that with my friends, but I've definitely felt a difference when talking to people that I haven't met before then.
Since you've lived in America and Mexico, do you ever go to Mexico and people say you're too white, or stay in America and people say you're too Mexican?
I do get told I am a little bit too Mexican here in the U.S., especially when I'm back home in Milwaukee, because I embrace my culture. My music taste is a little bit different. I predominantly only listen to Mexican music, and when I'm in my truck, I like to blast my Mexican music, and people just tell me, oh, that's way too Mexican.
Things like that.
Oh yes, well there's actually an instant in which I've seen racial discrimination against my father here in Wisconsin, which I was a young kid and we had just moved here literally a month, and he was told to go back to Mexico, which was kind of different for me because I've never actually experienced racial discrimination. And that was my first time.
Well, for me, I was young, but my mom had issues assimilating in the sense of her wearing the hijab. She kind of felt uncomfortable here.
Okay. With the quote, many immigrants that come to the U.S. feel that there is an ultimatum that comes with living in the U.S. Assimilate or be ostracized by society. How do you feel about that quote?
I think that quote is very unfair to say to the immigrants because they shouldn't have to change themselves to come to live to a new place. I think the place should what's the word I'm thinking about? They should welcome them, not tell them that they have to change in order for them to be welcome.
With the quote, many immigrants that come to the U.S. feel that there is an ultimatum that comes with living in the U.S. Assimilate or be ostracized by society. How do you feel about that quote?
I believe that quote is a little bit wrong to say because people should be embracing their culture when they come here and not feel like they're put to the side or they should assimilate to a certain culture and leave theirs behind. But I believe they should embrace theirs as much as they can.